Hello, welcome to Coach Grid. Here today with Kirsten Davis, as always. And today we want to talk about what makes a good coach versus what makes a bad coach. And maybe you've wondered yourself, am I a good coach? I have a lot of people telling me that I'm a good coach, but am I really? And Kirsten, hi. Thanks for being here to talk about this today. You know, we were talking the other day about it and just talking about the coaches we've had, the coaches we've worked with, and then all the ones that have worked with us. And obviously there's some great stories that go along with that. What are some of your favorite qualities you've had in the good coaches?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to me is your ability to ask really powerful questions. And along with that, to realize that not everybody has the same worldview. Not everybody has the same values, and that coaches are not consultants. And I think that's where a lot of people can get in their head and or go wrong, because if you're trying to lead somebody to live the life that you're living by your values, that might not be right for them or what they even want at all.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. I've had coaches in the past where really what they thought they were was a teacher, and they were going to teach me their way of doing things, and they were going to help me do things that way. And then I would be happy.
Yeah.
And that was them being successful as a coach. And very rarely did I actually hire them for anything even remotely related to that.
Something that's really important along with that is your ability to know where you're at, like a self-awareness of this is who I am, this is who I'm not. That's something that I think is funny when I've started talking to somebody and they're giving me this advice and I'm like, you don't even know that I'm actually like 10 steps ahead of you on this topic. And that's not why I'm here. I'm here for a reason. And it's that I, see that you're really compassionate and you seem to have a really good relationship with your dad. And that's something that I want to have, but they're assuming that it's for this other thing. So I think having a self-awareness of what you are, what you're not, and asking questions about what are you hoping to get out of this? What are you struggling with is important. And it's a funny thing that people miss that step a lot of the time.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people reach out to me in the past and admire something about me, but it wasn't relative to what I coached on. And as tempting as it was at times to say like, oh yeah, I can coach you on that, I really wanted to stay in my lane and stay in the place where I was trying to build my name and my career. And that's what I think happens a lot of times is you might, to your point, you might be admired for a lot of different things. And if that's what you coach on, awesome. If it's not, you can be admired on that. And maybe there are qualities or principles, but you don't have to try to force fit everything in when you're a coach. The coaches that I've worked best with are the ones that I knew what I was hiring them for. They knew what I was hiring them for. And it was the thing that they do. And that made it really successful across the board for them and for me.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about bad coaches. Again, we've both had bad coaches. I think about some of mine. One of the first things you said was the ability to ask questions and be really curious. Yeah. The opposite of that for me are the coaches that in a conversation aren't really there for you. You start in and you say, well, how do I do this? And they just start in on their own life. Yeah. And they start telling you stories just about them. They don't even bring it back to you. It's just their opportunity to talk about themselves and how great they are and the things that they do and the things that they don't do. And this happened to me last week. So many coaches go in there and they think it's just a conversation. They forget the objective that they're there to accomplish.
What's scariest about that is, so a lot of coaches, most coaches, I might say all people that get into coaching do it because they have this part of them that they either really want to be, they really want to heal. And so subconsciously they're like, I know I'm going to go into this field that's going to give me that. And they think they're going to be helping other people because they're not aware of that, you could say, void in themselves. And so I think that's where we get into a lot of those situations where it's okay if that's there. Like if you know, hey, I'm getting into this and I know that it's probably coming from this desire to become it myself, that can be a really powerful tool if you are conscious of it and actively are doing the work. And we could talk a lot about that too. Like, what does that actually look like? Because I think some people are like, well, I meditate every day. And it's like, well.
Yeah, the work can definitely look different than that. And we've seen this in ourselves, and we've seen this with our clients before, is the ones that get into coaching hoping to discover the secret for themselves. Mm-hmm. And when they're out operating from that place kind of unconsciously, that hurts them and it hurts their client. But when you're getting into it and you have an awareness, and that is a game changer. I don't think that it's wrong to share your experiences, to share your stories, but your ability to share that and then bring it back to your client. So if your client's wanting to experience something and you have a story that you can relate, great. But then you can come back and say, now you can see in this story, I went through steps 1, 2, and 3. And from that, I experienced A, B, and C. Now, how can we bring that back to you and the things that you do or that you don't do?
Yeah, the way that I like to do it in my practice is I'll be talking to somebody and I'll see them stuck somewhere that I was stuck. And instead of saying, hey, are you aware that you're massively sabotaging yourself right now? And this is, like going into it, that'll feel like more of an attack. Mm-hmm. I'll just really subtly say, hey, you know what? Like, I just thought of this, like, and kind of act like, it's a new thought and that it doesn't have to do with them even. I don't even draw the line. I let them draw the line, because the lines we draw ourselves, the ideas that we have from within ourselves first are the things that are actually going to have the power behind it to actually allow them to make a change. The things that come in from the outside, we can really appreciate that. We can be inspired, but unless something rises up from within us, it doesn't usually go that far past that session. So I'll share my experience and just be silent after that and just let them sit with it. And then a lot of the time they're like, hey, you know what? Craziest thing. I think I really needed to hear that. And I'm like, you don't say. And I do that very consciously. Everything that I say in a coaching session is for a reason. So I think that, that's the way that I like to share, is with a bit of an agenda, but no expectation for how it goes. If it doesn't come up in them, then we choose a different angle. Sometimes they're not ready to see it. And that's really good information too for the coach.
Yeah. I think, again, agendas are okay when you're starting with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. So for me, one of the first signs of a good coach is they're asking me, what do you want to get out of this? What's going to be there for you on the other side of us working together, rather than them telling me, hey, after this, you're going to have this and you're going to be able to do this and you're going to feel this way. They're coming in with a preconceived notion, again, of what I want, of what I need, and how they're going to deliver that for me. Versus when I start with a new client, I would ask them, what are you wanting to experience? And that goes back to your being able and willing to ask questions and sincerely ask the question to hear the answer.
Yeah.
So then when you come in with an agenda later on, the agenda is important because you're helping accomplish the thing that they said they want.
Right. It's the agenda that they hired you to accomplish.
And they might not see it, but that's what you're there to do.
Yeah. I think where it gets a little bit funny for me is they say, I want this. And I think this is another thing that makes coaches better or worse, is the ability to be really direct and sometimes confrontational and to hold space for the things that they don't want to see, because there's a reason they're stuck.
Yeah.
And that's not usually because it's like, oh, they just need to be told they're amazing and they'll be unstuck. It's like, I'm sure they have plenty of that in their life, hopefully. But yeah, being able to come in and say, okay, you want this? Well, this is all the stuff that I'm going to have to give you to get you there. And that typically isn't what they thought they were going to be unpacking.
And there's a term that I've heard in marketing a lot of times, where on the front end, you give them what they want. Mm-hmm. And then on the back end, you give them what they need.
Yeah.
So that they can have the real thing that they want.
Yep.
When I'm working with a client, I start with that question of, what are you wanting to experience? And then once they actually have an answer for me, and sometimes they don't, they just know that they want something different than what they have right now. But we get clear about what they want. And then I ask them the question, okay, what's important to you about having that thing? And many times the reasons they want something aren't going to be sustainable long-term. So maybe they want to be fit and healthy, but they want to be fit and healthy so that everybody else in the world says that they're fit and healthy.
Right.
Probably not going to be a long-term solution for your self-esteem issues. But with that awareness, they can start dialing it in even further of like, oh, okay, maybe that's not actually what I want. Maybe what I want is to feel loved. Maybe what I want is to feel valued.
Yeah.
Included. And then you're off and running.
Yeah. And that's really good to notice, because I think so many times people will chase something and then they get it and they're like, oh, it wasn't that. It must have been this other thing. But if you don't know what you actually want, you can't give it to yourself. So I know for me, like for a lot of my life, I felt like I'm not included. And the funny thing being, when I started to unpack that, it's like, well, why am I not being included? And it's like, well, because I literally will go to the corner of the room and like put on this scowl and like, be like, don't talk to me. And literally tell people like, don't talk to me. I don't text people back. There's like these things that I'm doing to create that. And at the end of the day, I think that's what coaches are there for, is to help you see how are you creating this reality that you're living in, and to help people see what they don't see.
Right. So yeah, that curiosity, and then the ability to be curious about the answers they give. So you just keep layering the curiosity. That can be so powerful as a coach. And so many times with clients that I've had, just that first session, they get their money's worth because they walk out of that session operating with a new level of awareness. I thought that I wanted this, and I thought that I wanted it for this reason. And now leaving this session, I know that it's actually this, and it's for this reason. And now I have something to work on. And now I can see why I've been stuck for a day or a week or 10 years or however long they've been stuck with that thing.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of some of the best coaches. They'll give you like a 15-minute session and it'll be like $5,000. And the reason they can do that is their level of skill to be able to pinpoint exactly what needs to be seen and ask the right question or give the right insight to open that up.
Yeah.
So it's not really about time.
Yeah. So in these last just few minutes, any other big things for you that make a really good coach or a really bad coach that come up for you?
I think that's about it on my side. What comes up for you?
Really, I think that is the biggest thing. It's the coach that's there to not be a therapist. They're not there to counsel. You can hire people to do those things.
Yeah.
But a coach is someone there that's there to help you accomplish the thing that you want to accomplish and understand why and how you're going to accomplish that thing. So curiosity, to me, is the number one biggest differentiator between a good coach and a bad coach. So somebody's watching this video and they're, am I a good coach? How often do you lead with curiosity? How often are you asking questions? And in future times together, are you still asking questions? Are you still helping them dial it in? And that's going to be a big step for them to find the answers that they already have inside of themselves that maybe they just haven't been aware of.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here with us today on Coach Grid. Hopefully this helps you if you've been struggling with knowing whether or not you're a good coach or a bad coach. Lead with curiosity. And if you're curious about us, who we are, you can go find us at coachgrid.com or on Instagram at coachgrid.